I did review the data flash logs last night, and some of the things I found were absolutely disturbing. And when I say disturbing, look at this. This is just crazy. This is the return to launch test. And looking at roll, that looks great, but look at desired roll. Oops. I graphed the wrong graph a while ago. I had graphed this with it and said, that's not right. I've just woke up. I guess it's not as bad as I thought it was. This is that little dancing out at the end. So that was pretty good. If we look at the error messages up here, I'm going to have to find some more information on data flash logs so I can pull these messages out easier. There was a yaw reset here. That was about it. Everything else was pretty much calm for errors. This was a EKF primary 1 error and an EK. I sort of saw that on the platform when it came in. Not sure what caused that one, and this is just landing. Land complete, maybe. That's funny. Never saw anything like that before. Land complete here, and then disarmed. But on the Maiden flight, we call it, first test, autonomous flight. I'm just looking at this to give me a reading on the screen. You can see right here, pretty soon into the flight, got a error GPS 2, which is pretty strange because there isn't a second GPS in there. And here's another one, GPS 0. So GPS is still bothering me a little bit. Other than that, these right here are a yaw reset, not landed. And this one says that I did arm in auto. EV, auto armed. That's a vent. But I did not get it to take off in that. If I turn on the modes down here, and see, how do we get to them? We can see that I had done an auto here, but it didn't work for me, so I went back into altitude hold twice. This is when I put it in loiter, when I pulled it back from drifting away to the right because it wasn't actually in auto. And here's where it did actually go into auto. And the instant it went into auto, it looks as when it got that error GPS 2. And then another one here. And after that, there were no more particular problems. Let me reset this graph. I guess I landed in auto. There was no change out here. Okay. And I don't see any other problems there. So the one GPS glitch, or two GPS glitches. Right here, GPS 2, which doesn't exist, GPS 0, which doesn't exist. That might not be the GPS number. That may be an error code 2 and an error code 0 here. Who knows? That's the only things I saw in the logs that were at least in any way concerning. We'll go back to the return to home test here. We'll look at vibrations down here. This is 10. Everything's down here in a very low area. Y 20. They don't. It's supposed to be above 30, I think. That's good. This is good. All that is good. And like I say, the desired roll and the actual roll is really tight. It may be too tight. The D term may be just a little bit too high. Back it down just a touch, and some of the wobble that I still see in it may come back out. And the pitch, desired pitch, exactly the same. Little kerflummox here, but I think that's when I picked it up on the ground, perhaps, or maybe not. No, I think that was actually a little flummox over the car. I should have pointed that out in the video, but I wasn't close enough to get it in the video. I made enough to share it with people. I could see it with my actual eyes when it happened, but no share. Here's another little problem here. Yeah, see, the desired pitch is here in red, but that thing right here pitched a whole lot more. I did see that too in the platform. So I'm not sure about those little hiccups. They are hiccups. Same thing in the Maiden log. There's a little hiccup near the landing that I did see that kind of shows here, but the rest of the flight looks good and did seem to be good to me. So I didn't find anything else in the logs that I didn't like except this GPS problem right here. And if we look at the GPS itself, oops, let's take those out before we do that. GPS, number of sats. Here's 12, dropping down to 11 in here. That was near the end of the flight. Said something someplace about taking 12 or more minutes to get everything copacetic. This is only like a 4-minute flight. Let's see. 22 to 26, yeah, 4-minute flight. It may be a time problem. Problem is, I can't let that thing sit there locking up satellites too long because the walk snail overheats so badly. Interesting though. The sat count kept going up, although it does drop. That's what these lines jumping up and down are. It drops. This is 12 to 11. This is 11 down to 10. This is 10 down to 9. And I did see, and I'll show you in the videos during some of the early stuff, that I was dropping down to 7 right here in the early part of the flight, which is unacceptable to me. 8 in here is fine with me. I can function on that. I have raised my satellite count I want this year by 1. I used to just have it at 7, so this would have been acceptable to me in the past. It no longer is. I want 8, but I did have for the right here on in the flight at least 9 or more. I'd like to get this figured out. Let's see, was this one? This one was the Maiden. Let's look at the return to launch. Test. GPS. Number of sats. Here's 10 again. Never got above 10. But for the return to launch, wow, that's unusual. 10 sats here, 9 sats here. What's this? 9.2, 9.4, 9.6, 9.8 sats. Come on, something's a little strange here. But if it's between 9 and 10 for the return to launch, I'm happy with that. And the HDOP shouldn't ever be above 1.4 or it won't let the platform fly. I think I took off too quick because I worry about that walk snail overheating. I overheated the 5.8 and the 7-inch. So that's looks like it just takes a long time for that thing to lock up lots of satellites, because this is certainly less than the number that the Maiden had. Anyway, let's look a little bit at that GPS and the information I have on that GPS. Now, I have searched the internet for information on this GPS in all sorts of ways. I've searched for M10 GPSs that aren't made by this company, just any information I can find on this GPS, and there's not much joy. I do have it installed, this arrow forward. I have read and understand now that this light is solid green when it's powered and blinks at 1 hertz when it's got 3D lock. This is all the notes they have here. And out of this, I have found, here's where it talks about the solid green when powered on and 1 hertz blinking when it has a 3D fix. And for ArduPilot, there's no flipping, no orientation, just whatever the arrow says, so that's good. We pretty much know that's good because my platform flew its mission properly instead of trying to fly it on the other side of the field or backwards, etc. Now down here's the stuff that I have read and gives me kind of pause. Let's see. First off, where is it? Here we are. The default configuration, I know this does say SAM M10Q. We're actually on the 5883 documentation. They've just mixed their documentation with those 2 products they sell. It says the default configuration on the GPS with U-blocks looks like it, to me it says firmware 5.1 is concurrent reception of GPS, Galileo, GLONASS, Beidou, B1C with QZSS and SBASS enabled. So with that in mind, real quick, let's look at our platform we're actually connected to it now. GPS 1 detected as U-blocks at 230,400 baud. And then right here it says U-blocks 1. To me that says hardware, some kind of hardware version here. Software ROM SPG 5.10. I know there's a 0 after this here, but trailing zeros don't matter as much as leading zeros. You want those leading zeros when I write you a check, as long as there's at least one in front of the leading zeros. More leading zeros in that case, the better, right? So to me, this tells me that that GPS is reporting that it's on firmware 5.10. And this tells me that on firmware 5.1, which could be easily 5.10 again, the default for that GPS is concurrent reception of all of those constellations. Let me drop out and look real quick here for the other information I have found. And the other information I have read comes from this right here, troubleshoot GPS related issues. We'll open this here. And here, GPS not working. Now this is talking about iNav and stuff, but it does have a little Ardu pilot stuff right here in black, and says do not set any unnecessary GPS parameters if you don't know how they work. With Ardu pilot, just need to set serial X protocol equal to 5 for a GPS. Mine's serial 3 on the corresponding UART. Don't need to set any other GPS parameters. Leave all others by default. Got a little bit of an interpretation problem there. Sorry, I'm reading it more verbatim than trying to read through it. Now here they go back to with iNav and Betaflight, just need to configure GPS on corresponding UART, enable GPS with U-box protocol. Don't need to set any baud rate, less is more. This is everything I can find anywhere on this. So this says an Ardu pilot, just set the serial protocol for GPS. Leave the other GPS parameters alone. Well, I didn't do that completely. I did it first. And this one may be set back to that now. So if we look here at serial 3, I've left everything here at default except for the protocol, which I set to a 5, and that's right here for GPS. Right there. 5 is GPS. And that's the way I'm letting it power up. Now over here in the GPS area, there is this GPS GNSS mode. Right now I've got it set back to the default because that documentation told me to do that. But I did play with this for a while, and I went in here and I said I'll take everything but this GLONASS, and I set it like that and saved it away and tested it with that. It didn't do a thing for me. So I've got it set back to the default right now because You saw that documentation said set everything to the default. I don't see anything else here that would cause this. GPS gain is default. GPS minimum satellites, like I say, I've set it to 8. Wow, it used to be 7 by default. They've dropped theirs. I raised mine. Oh well, I feel more comfortable with 8. Whatever. GPS use is at the default. Use GPS. EK3 GPS check. Default. Default. Auto configuration. Default. Auto switch. Default. Everything down through here. Default, default, default. I'm not going to write this out. HDOP. Everything down through here is at the default. And I don't see anything that would affect that. GPS type is set to auto. I've also set it to 2 U-blocks. That didn't change a thing. I also set it to 5 NMEA because some of the documentation in troubleshooting talks about trying it in that mode also. Probably right in here. Start with U-blocks GNS firmware 3.01. That's it. I don't know what's going on there. That could take up to 12.5 minutes. I was hardly at the field more than 30 minutes. And I can't let it sit there that long. I'm trying to lock up lots of satellites because my Walksnail will overheat. Now I did hook it to my computer when I first got to the field so the USB power would power it. So I could start hooking up satellites from that power without the Walksnail powered. It hooked up 10 pretty quickly. I just unhooked the USB and got ready to go because I figured it would get more as quickly, but it didn't. Let's see. There's some place where it talked about the NM. Oh well. UBX protocol. Anyway, when I changed this to NMEA, it didn't work at all. It just said no GPS. Never did do diddly. And I can't see anything else. I tried MSP. It did the same thing. Didn't work at all. One auto works and U-block works, but they seem to work the same. And that's it. And this down through here, this is not at default. That's at 2 hertz. Not sure how that got to 2 hertz. Found out how some of those things are getting changed, but not much. So basically, right here, I showed you how I had played with this and it didn't matter. All this is set to defaults. Now, I am not using, well, it wouldn't matter for the GPS. Start to say I'm not using any rotation, but you don't do that on the GPS. You align your GPS, if you can, with the same alignment as your flight controller in general. But you do align your compass. Now then, on the compass, I don't have any orientation because there's none. My arrow's facing forward, etc. Now, on the 7-inch build, the gentleman's I was following, he did do, and I did do before I put this GPS in, custom rotation of 101. And then after that, you have a cust, C-U-S-T function that comes up. It's probably not, nope. Yep. Right now, cust rotate enabled is I've got it disabled again. I had to set this to a 1 to enable it. Once you do that, you'll get some more custom rotation values. Right. And with that enabled, you get these values. And on the GPS that was in there, I think it was rotated 180. And so we did a yaw of 180 right here, like this. And there was some pitch on it. And I used the pitch that he used in his build of -15. That, in my opinion, would affect the compass. But it doesn't affect the GPS, in my opinion. So right now, as far as any information, and I'm just going to blow this back to what I had by reloading my perimeters. Oops. We'll disable this again. Like that. That actually will do it too. So I'm actually back to where I was. Let's make sure by GPS. And that was, yeah, this GPS GNSS mode. I'm not sure what to do here. Like I say, I left this one off because of a statement over here. Let me see if I can find that one. I think I had to come to Use Center for Windows to find out some information for that. No, not that way. Let's see. Multi-compensation. More details. And this, even though this is the M10Q5883, they also have the SAM MQ10. They're using the same text here. So when you go to this, to go to the uBlock site for, it is for the SAM MQ10. I'll search here in a minute for the 5883. I don't think it's going to be on here, but yeah, looking down through here, documentation, integration manual. There's some place in this where it says that you can't, the GLONASS is not turned on at the same time Oh, by the way, I've tried to set it also for 9600 baud, which is what it says. Someplace for a lot of that. Datasheet interface manual. Where is it? But I found that. Anyway, I won't be able to find it here real quick, I'm sure. But there was some place where it looked like the GLONASS should not be turned on at the same time as the others. Some kind of conflict. Anyway, I guess that's it for right now because I'm not making any headway. Gentleman, viewer, did speak about this particular perimeter, and like I say, I have played with it, but I did not turn this one on. I did turn all the rest of these on. Oh, by the way, there is another one I played with, and that one was let's see. Come out, wherever you are. SBAS. Got that QZSS2. Right here. And see, right now I have it still playing with it. GPS SBAS mode. It's a 2 by default, and it was a 2, which is no change. Supposedly, if there's no change, then it should be configured to the GPS default, which I would assume is on. Well, in order to check that, I switched this to a 1 to set it to enabled, and that didn't make any difference either. And then that other thing, QZSS, I didn't find anywhere. B1C. Oh, here's QZSS. And here's SBAS, by the way. So I have turned all those on. Maybe I should go back and just set all of these and see what happens for kicks and grins. So this is the only place I think I see QZSS. We'll just search for that term through the whole QZSS through the whole parameters list. It's not found anyplace else. Nope. So the other thing is I don't know how long I've been talking now, and this has been sitting on the bench. and it's still got no fix. It's not locking up any satellites here on the bench. Yesterday morning, I resoldered the flame wheel GPS and put that, I think it's an M8Q Ken GPS on the flame wheel, powered it all up. It locked up 10 satellites here in the basement in no time at all. I dare say it would right now if I put it back up. I'll do that real quick. This has been running for quite a while. With this 5-inch sitting on the bench, it hasn't locked up any satellites. So I've still got GPS problems here. I'm not going to back up to the other GPS I had on it, even though I think it was getting 18 at one point. Might look back at that. Let me throw the flame wheel up real quick. I'll show you what happens with it. So I've got the flame wheel connected to Mission Planner here. I'm going to power it up, and I'm going to hit a stopwatch at the same time. There it is, powered up. Set my stopwatch timing. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to connect to the flame wheel. And I'm just going to time it. I'll cut out all this extra time in post. Well, there you go. It took about 2 minutes and 40 seconds to pick up 4 sats. It'll pick up more as time goes on. Like I say, yesterday it picked up 10, locked up 10 in here pretty quick. So that's less than 3 minutes here on the bench. The other GPS been sitting here for half hour or more. It never locked up anything inside the basement. Previously, I took it outside a couple of days ago. It only got like 4 outside, and I think you saw me raise it up in the air trying to give it more sky to get at least 8 so I could test return to launch here. That never happened. So Not quite sure what to do about all this. I keep digging everywhere I can dig for information. I'm going to go back and play with that one variable on the 5-inch. Which is the GNSS mode. I'm going to play with this on the 5-inch. The 7-inch has got the same GPS on it. It is a little different flight controller, but it's H743 Slim instead of an H743 Mini. I think it's doing about the same thing. I haven't checked it completely yet, but it seemed to be. When I took it outside the other day to see what it would lock up, it seemed to be operating the same. So I've got those two, and I ordered another one last night so I can play with it here on the bench, play with it in a platform where it's just sitting level instead of angled like these are. I'm not quite sure what the deal is yet. So I will figure it out. If anybody has any ideas, please let me know. Thank you so much.